the bone marrow will incorporate iron into the hemoglobin and red blood cells. And I'm familiar with in talking about anemia. And people who have kidney disease is there's no bone marrow incorporating, telling it, hey, you need to get and turning it.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I am naturopath Fiona Chin, co-founder of the Kidney Coach and Kaigenesis, a range of supplements that we have specially formulated and designed for people with impaired renal function. And I'm joined again today by one of my favorite people in the entire universe, the lovely, the wonderful, amazing Lindsey Zirker. Lindsey is a brainiac, and as well as being a brainiac, she's also a renal dietitian, and she works alongside Jessie Anna Seville at the Kidney Nutritional Institute over in the USA. My friend, tell me iron. Let's dive down the rabbit hole. What do people with chronic kidney disease need to know about this amazing mineral?
Well, kind of, I think the thing to start off with, which is what I was mentioning to you right before we started, is that iron and anemia, they're very much linked, but like there are separations in kidney disease.
Mm.
And I think that's really, really important for our people with kidney disease to understand, because um, anemia isn't always caused by an iron deficiency, although it often is.
Mm.
And also that iron deficiency isn't always caused by just not eating enough iron in kidney disease also. And so I think it's important to understand that. And I was thinking about iron earlier today, and I was like, I feel like iron is like someone that has really, really extra controlling parents. Like, right? Because the hormones, we've talked about this before with minerals, a lot of times hormones are running the show. They are determining if this nutrient is going to get absorbed, how much is released into the bloodstream, how much is going to be stored. And with iron, I feel like that control is even tighter. And it's just like parents saying, no, you are grounded. You will stay in your room. The iron's going to stay in storage. No, you cannot have friends come over. No more iron will be absorbed. And all these kind of things. And I think that that's an interesting way to think about iron, because a lot of times it gets oversimplified and we miss the root issue going on with people's iron.
So let's talk about those hormones that really let's talk about the parents, the hormones that regulate iron. Let's go into that since you've started there. So tell me more about that and that relationship to iron, and why these hormones may or may not ground or send iron out to play with their friends.
Yes. So one that we hear a lot about in kidney disease, that is sort of related with iron, is erythropoietin, which is made by the kidneys. And that is the messenger that goes to the bone marrow and says, hey, we need more red blood cells. And then the bone marrow will incorporate iron into the hemoglobin and red blood cells. And then we have, obviously it's a little more complicated than that, and there's more nutrients involved there. But so that is one that um, is we're really familiar with in talking about anemia. And people who have kidney disease, as their function declines, their kidney's not very good at sending that messenger out. And so
Mm-hmm.
that can leave patients with enough iron, but there's no bone marrow incorporating, telling it, hey, you need to get and turning it into the red blood cell.
Right.
Um, and then also when, people's hemoglobin levels get low enough, they can get the infusions or injections of the synthetic erythropoietin. Um, and then we have a functional iron deficiency, because all of a sudden there's this huge burst of, hurry, make more red blood cells. And then the body doesn't have enough iron to keep up with that. So that can be a challenge. Another hormone, though, that doesn't really get talked about a lot, this is, I feel like, the more parental controlling hormone, is hepcidin.
Mm.
So hepcidin is really going to regulate um, whether the body's going to absorb iron, if it's going to stay in its storage form or not. Um, And so hepcidin levels, they should respond if someone's iron levels are low. then hepcidin levels should also drop and say, all right, invite all your friends over. It's time for a party. But in chronic disease like kidney disease or any kind of inflammatory state, hepcidin levels will be higher. And that is going to put a stop to all iron absorption, and it's going to sequester iron in its storage form so that iron can't be used to feed pathogens or get oxidized and create more oxidative stress and stuff like that. And so that one's tricky because there isn't really any reliable test to test hepcidin that I know of. I think they're
No.
still trying to isolate it. And like any hormone testing is tricky because there's different forms or there's going to be different ups and downs. There's lots of circadian rhythm kind of stuff. I don't know if that's with hepcidin, but that's how it is with most hormones. Like even think about parathyroid hormone. When you look at your labs, it's IPTH. You're looking specifically for intact PTH, which tells you that there's non-intact PTH also floating around there. So hormones are kind of shifty to try and test for, and so it's difficult to know, like, oh, what's going on with my iron? Is it because my hepcidin's high? So we kind of have to be really detective-y and just kind of draw some conclusions based on other types of labs to figure out what's going on with iron in our bodies.
If you want to have Lindsey on your chronic health disease team, I'll put her details in below, but you'll find her at the Kidney Nutritional Institute. Lindsey and the team are based in the US, so that means with insurance, they can telehealth you anywhere. And if you're anywhere in the world, because of also telehealth, you can also chat to Lindsey anywhere in the world. So if you want to know more about that, I'll put Lindsey's details in below. If you want to know more about what we do, head to www.kidneycoach.com. You'll also find us on Instagram and Facebook under the same names. Make sure you hit subscribe and like. That way you'll get notified anytime we put up more content. Lindsey, thank you as always for sharing your wisdom, and for everyone listening, thank you for being part of our community. We appreciate all of you.